Hey everybody, welcome back to Creating Scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is part 2 of making bleachers. Alright, so in part 1 we created a couple 100-foot sections of bleacher. I showed you the stair-step way to create that. We created some stairs. Alright, so we have this, and then we made this cut in our bleacher to put our side steps. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, if we remember when we created the side steps, I called this side steps template 001 because I pretty much made it out of this one and then just copied that. Alright, so what I'm going to do, and this is usually what I do when I make models and I want to reuse parts over and over. So I am going to Shift D and make another copy of that. Shift D. So now I have another copy. Okay, so I can move it if I want to, but I'm going to escape so I don't move it. And I'm going to come back to, and then I'm going to turn off the, I'm going to, yeah, let's see, what I want. Yeah, I want to give this a meaningful name. All right, so I'm going to say step template small. Okay, that way I know it's the stairs that go on either side of the axis from the back of the bleachers. All right, then we're just gonna turn this template off. Okay, no, actually, I'm going to rename this one small steps. Okay, and then I'm going to hide my template. All right, that way I always, now I have this template, stair template for the whole set of stairs, and then I have the template for the small stairs on either side of the exits. All right, and I can use those again. I don't have to recreate those. So I'm going to turn those off. Now I'm going to do some cleaning up before we do the next step, because I want to explain something. All right, if you guys remember in the last episode, we created, let me turn my screencast on here for you. All right, make sure that shows up. Yep. All right, so I tabbed into edit mode, and if you remember, when of course we have some loop cuts here that we made for from last time, but that's okay. This one and this one, we made some loop cuts in it. But if we remember from the last video, I showed you how to make this turn. And this turn was this part of the bleachers down here. Okay, so this is this part here and over here, they're parallel to one another, but this set of bleachers turns at an angle. All right, now if I know that angle, I would actually, when I rotate the actual object, remember, if you notice, the 3D cursors in the same place that we left off last time, and I selected this vertex, I always say that. I selected this vertex down here in this corner and used that as the pivot point, and I changed my orientation transformation to the 3D cursor. So when I rotated on Z, it rotated at this point. All right, but I eyeballed it last time. All right, I didn't enter in an actual degree of rotation. All right, but I was just showing you how we can do an angled and then bridging to edge loops to close that in. All right, but in the real world, that's an actual angle that you would type in probably. All right, or a best guess. All right, it's really helpful if you remember the angle, because if you add things to this, you know what angle to also turn those. And for instance, if we make if we make a new set of stairs for this, maybe the stair configuration is different than this one over here. And then we went in and did some loop cuts and created some stair openings and stuff like that. Well, you would need to know what this angle was, or this is going to kind of goof you up. All right. Now, another thing I need to show you, and I've showed you in other videos, but it's always good to refresh, is get to know actually I said that this was the transformation orientation, and I was incorrect. This is the transformation orientation up here. All right, so if I hover there, it should say that. Yeah, this right here is your pivot point, transformation pivot point. All right, for the transformation orientation, get to know this. Okay, because this can save you a lot of headaches when you have rotated something and you need to build off of that rotation. All right, for instance, let's go to face select and let's zoom in here. And right now my orientation is based on the global, the real world. All right, so let me kind of move this here and zoom out. All right, and I need to go this way. All right, so the red line you guys know is X, and the Y axis is the green line. All right, and Z in this case is coming right at your face. It's coming out at you, right? So you guys know this. This is basic Blender stuff. All right, now since I've turned this angle, all right, if I want something to be parallel or perpendicular to these sets of lines, I would have to change that transformation orientation. So in this case, I'm in edit mode. If I go to face with my face select and I select a face, all right, that face is oriented with this set of bleacher, right? If I come up to the transformation orientation and I hit this plus, this face gets written down here. Now, as long as this is active, and you can rename these, you don't have to keep the name, but you can say angled bleacher, if I spell it right. Okay. You can name your new orientation if you want to. All right. I usually do a bunch of temporaries and then I get rid of them. So I really don't rename them unless I really want to save this project in a pristine condition. All right. Where was I? All right. So we have this face selected and it is now part of its own orientation. All right. Now, let me show you. I'm going to hit the, you guys know that I hit the tilde T, that the tilde, this little squiggly thing, it's right to the left of the number 1 on your number row. All right. That brings up the widget for your view. And if I hit T, it's going to give me a top-down view. All right. Now, with this particular face selected, and it is the transformation orientation is based on this face right here. Now, I'm gonna hit the G key just to open up a move. All right. Okay. If I hit G and then Y, it's only going to move in this direction. Now notice that it's angled parallel to our bleacher. All right. So in this transformation view for this bleacher level here, the one where I made the transformation orientation called angled bleacher, this is the Y-axis now. Okay, if I hit escape and I go move X, it's in this direction. Okay, and Z is always up, is always out toward your face. Okay, it always comes towards you. All right, so that's the orientation transformation, and you can work on your model of angled pieces using that transformation if you want to. All right, but let's make life easier for ourselves. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to go to X-ray, and I am going to select, I'm going to change our orientation. I'm going to get rid of this orientation transformation. I'm going to go back to global. All right, now I'm face mode, and I'm going to select those faces that I just created, and I'm going to go ahead and delete those. I'm going to delete the faces. All right, so we're kind of back to where we were before we did the angled bleacher. Now, why did I do that? Well, you don't have to do that, but I just want to show you my workflow on creating things. I try not to make things too complicated for myself. All right, today, prime focus. We're going to recreate this angle, but we want to do a few things ahead of time before we want to do that. Sometimes working on angles is kind of a pain in the butt sometimes, because you got to remember which angle you're working with. All right, so what I try to do is, when I'm making a whole bunch of pieces, parts that I'm going to be using to create more parts of my model, I really like to create one object and then manipulate it somehow, so I don't have to keep recreating the same thing over and over, right? So we have some pieces parts. All right, we have a seat level 2, which is this one. We have the small steps, and we have the main steps. All right, but we also, this step template is a set of stairs that comes all the way down, right? So we have pieces parts that we can use to make. What did I do? I screwed up something. Did I screw up something? What did I just do? Hold on, let me find out what I did. Oh, I was turning off the wrong one. Whoops, I still turned off the wrong one. Where is it? Oh, template, dummy. There you go. All right, so I have pieces parts to make my bleachers. So I don't have to recreate these particular parts. I can just select them and move them where I want to make, you know, I have a cookie cutter is basically what I'm saying. All right, so let's create a couple other pieces parts. And I like to create my prototypes, my model components in the world view, in the global view. All right, so I make sure that everything's parallel and perpendicular and all that kind of stuff. All right, I know I'm droning on and on and on. Forgive me, but that's just the way I am. I'm sorry. All right, so with this set of bleachers, okay, we want to make the seats, okay, which is just a platform that sits a couple inches off of the ground. All right, I think they're something like 17 inches above the platform. So let's go into edit mode. Okay, and what we're going to do is we are going to select this face. All right, so on top of this level, this is the first level. Okay, so on top of this level, there's the actual bleacher seat, right? Okay, and it's, usually the same length as this level. It's a little narrower and it's up above the actual level. So we need a copy of this level. So I'm going to shift D, and you can see where if I move my mouse it moves, but I'm going to hit escape so I don't move it, so it's in the same place. And then I'm going to hit P and make a new selection, and we're going to call this not Bella, Bleacher seat. Okay, now we're going to get tab out of edit mode, and now we can work on this seat, right? Okay, so these seats are probably remember this level is 30 inches deep. From this point to this point, it's 30 inches deep. But your seat isn't. Your seat is probably 2 hands across. It's probably 16 inches on for my hand. My hand stretched out is between 8 and 9 inches. Okay. A seat is probably around 16 inches. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, with this seat selected, I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to go to node select, vertex select, and oh wait a minute, I got the wrong one. How come that got copied in there? How come I have these vertexes on there? Oh, because I did not select my bleacher seat. I have a bad habit of having 2 things selected when I go into edit mode. Okay, so now I just have the yellow bleacher seat. Now I'm going to edit mode. All right, now we're going to select this vertex and we're going to select this vertex. And since I'm in the global transformation, my X, Y's, and Z's are nice and straight, right? I'm not working on an angled piece of bleacher. Okay, so that's why I try to make these in this orientation first, so I don't have to do a bunch of overloading in my brain. Now we're going to move this. Okay, if I hit tilde T, this is my orientation: positive to the right, positive to the up, and then Z is out. Okay, and then I can turn my angle to make sure I'm oriented correctly. We are going to move these 2 vertices in the positive Y direction, 30 minus 16, which gives us the 14, right? So we're going to GY 14 inches. Well, actually, why do I want to make this more difficult? Let's just use, I'm going to move these in the Y. So I'm going to come up here to item, and right now the orientation of that is, it's at 0 Y, which is this red line. Okay, we are going to change this to 1,4 and then inches. So it's moved it back. Notice that? Just like that. All right, so if you want absolute values, you can type them in your item transformation there. All right, so now we have the seat that is 16 inches deep. Okay, now what we need to do is raise it up. Okay, usually the seats, I think I've made this, these stairs, these right here are 7 1/4, right? Except the bleacher levels are 2 of those. So that's 14.5 inches. And usually these bleachers are level with the step behind, right? Okay. So what we're going to do is do a face select our bleacher seat, and we can simply come over to our Z over here if we want to, and we can add 7 1/4 inches if we wanted to. So if I hit plus 7.25 inches, it will raise it up. See, like that? Okay. but I did it wrong because it's supposed to be 14.5, right? All right, so we're going to come back here. We're going to go to our Z, and we're going to go Shift plus, and we're going to say 14.5, and then inches. So it's going to make our seat level with that next level, okay? Now there's usually a space between the bleacher level and the seat, so we can actually back this off in the negative Y just a couple inches, right? So we're going to come back up to this Y. We're going to select vertices. All of them are selected. We're going to go to Y, and we're going to go minus, let's say 2 inches. 2 inches. And hit enter and say now we have a gap between the level and the bleacher seat. Okay, now the next step is you can give this some thickness. All right, so we're gonna go to we're gonna hit the show overlays, and we're gonna do face orientation. Notice that all my bleachers are red and my seats are. Some of my stairs are, my stairs are okay. If you use the solidify modifier, it always adds the new thickness in the red direction, okay? And right now my normals are facing down, all right? As I'm building my model, I like to clean that kind of stuff up. All right, so I am not in edit mode. I'm going to tab into edit mode, and if I hit Alt N, flip, now my normals are facing up, red is down. Okay, so if I do a solidify modifier to this now, it's going to make it thick toward the red. All right, which is what I'm going to want. But I might as well fix my bleachers as well. So let's select my bleachers, tab into edit mode, face select, select all, Alt and flip, so my normals are facing up. And we're going to clean up this other one as well. Tab in, select all, Alt N, flip. Okay, and then for my stairs, we'll come back to my stairs. But for the stairs, not every one of them is flipped, okay? Not every one of them is oriented incorrectly. So if we select our stairs, tab in, it's only these red ones that we need to flip. So I'm just going to select each one of these with my mouse, okay? Sometimes there's some repetitive work that you have to do that's still kind of a pain in the rear, but you know, you guys know what I'm talking about. You guys create scenery better than I do. Alright, so I have those selected, and I'm going to hit that Alt N, and we're going to flip those normals. We got one more cleanup to do. And that's, well, I'll probably have to do our main stairs as well, our main template as well, but we're going to worry about that later. All right, so we are going to do some selection here. Let me finish selecting these and I'll get these flipped. Okay, we have those flipped. Get out edit mode here. All right, so we got all my stuff kind of fixed here. All right, so let's go back to where we were, and that is our bleacher seat. Hit period on my number pad to focus in on my selection. All right, so we want to give this seat a little bit of thickness to it, and so I can simply, with that selected, is I can come over here to my modifiers, and let's add a solidify modifier. Okay, see how that's really kind of thin. That's not as thick. And I think they're usually like inch thick or so. And in decimal, an inch is 0.083. So now my seat is a little thicker there. Sometimes they might be even thicker than that. All right, and we can leave that modifier on for now. All right. You just want to make sure if you join this to another object that you're going to want to apply that modifier before you join it, or that new object will also have that solidify modifier to it as well. All right, so let me turn off this face orientation overlay. All right, so now we have a thick bench that the people sit on. So their feet can be right here, and their butt can be right here, and then you have a little tiny space, and then that's just the next level. Now some bleachers might have chair backs, that kind of stuff, but we're not going to worry about that right now. I know that Summit, for the main part, doesn't have chair backs. It's just a simple bleacher, but they have some paid places, you know, higher paid places that have chair backs and stuff. All right, so we have that. Now we'll need to create another modifier, an array modifier, so we can duplicate this going all the way up, right? Okay, so let's come into here and let's add another modifier, and let's call this an array modifier. We want to orient our modifier in the Y. So we want 1 unit in the Y. And that's right. No, that's an offset. That is not a relative offset. That's an actual constant offset. So we're going to come down here. Right now it's set to 3 feet. We don't want that. So let's make that 0. And in the Y, we want, is it 14 inches? No, it's 30 inches. Is that right? Gotta remember my math. Yeah, it's 30 inches because it's toward the back of the stair. There we go. That's what we want. Okay. And then for the Y, the Z, we want this offset to 14.5 inches, 14.5 inches. There we go. There we got it. So now we have our benches, and we have 1 copy. And now all you need to do is increase your count, and we used 30 for that. That gets us all the way to the top of our bleacher, just like that. See how that is? Okay. All right, let me pause for a second. Okay, so I want to save this. Right now we have bleacher seat, and notice, remember our bleachers are 100 feet wide, right? They were split right down this where we inserted this stair. They were 100 feet. Okay. So what I want to do is, if you notice that here's our stairs, but then this seat should come all the way over here for on up. Okay. But I don't want to lose this, because I want to use this later for maybe another part of my bleacher. So I'm going to save this or make a copy of it and call it a template. So with bleacher seat selected, I'm going to hit Shift D, and that creates a new one. Escape so I don't move it. And then we're going to call this one template. So they're nice and straight. Okay, so there's no jogs. Okay, now let's turn our template off and come back to bleachers. Now with bleachers selected, let's tab into edit mode. Now let's take a look at this section here. Okay, usually the people will walk up the bleachers, and there's usually not, sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Sometimes this is just an ingress to the next set of stairs right here. So this seat may not come all the way down on this row. Okay, so we're going to go up a row. All right, so I'm going to turn on vertice. Yeah, it's down here. That's right. I still have an array modifier. Haha. Okay, this is where you'll want to apply that modifier. So let's tab out of edit mode, and with our bleacher seat, we're fine because now we have a template, okay, as a backup. All right, but let's go ahead and apply this out of edit mode, apply this modifier, and then tab into edit mode. Now everything is editable. All right, and I'm going to turn on, I still have the solidify modifier on, but that's okay. But we're going to select these bleachers, these bleachers right here, and then we're going to select the rest of them all the way up. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide these vertices over to the end of the bleacher section here. So I'm going to turn my pivot point back to medium point, and I'm going to make sure that I have my vertex active turned on. Make sure that's active. Yes, it is active there. And then I'm going to shift hold my click twice to make this vertice active, and then I'm going to move that in the X until it snaps over here. So GX, and we're going to snap right there. Okay, so now our bleacher section comes all the way over to the stairs, just like that. Okay, so that's good. That's good. That's what I wanted. All right, now we need to make a copy of this. Let's mirror it so we have a section of stairs, section of seats that looks like this one on the left side. And simply you can just do with this, I hope, if it works, just tab out. Okay, and let's add a mirror modifier to it. There we go. It should be in the X direction for the mirror. Right down here is the X. All right, so now we have a copy of the seats in the same orientation on the other side. Okay, now let's separate this part and this part out of our bleacher seats so they're each individual. Okay, so we're going to call this right because it's on the right side of an opening, and we'll call this one left since it's on the left side of an opening. All right, so let's go ahead and apply the mirror modifier. So these faces we can edit those. Go into edit mode, and let's turn on faces and X-ray so we can get those right off the bat. There we go. Now we have the seats on the left side, and let's hit P, and let's call this bleacher seats, and I said we're going to call this left, right? Correct. Left. Whoops, I spell left a lot different than most people. All right, so we have bleacher seat left. All right, tab out. Let's select these other bleacher seats, and let's make this right. So we have parts that we can continue to build. Okay, turn off X-ray. All right. Normally this doesn't take this long to build, but remember I'm recording a video at the same time, so when I'm talking and doing it always slows me down. All right, so we've created our seats. Okay. Trying to think of anything I want to on this video here. Okay, so what we're going to do, one final thing for this video, and then next video we're going to talk about handrails, and we're going to talk about the actual structure underneath the framing. Okay, but let's say we have this right here, and let's say there's a couple of these across. All right, and then let's take a look at our prototype, which would be, in this particular case, Summit Motorsports. Okay, so if we're making this part of the bleacher, from, let's say, from here to here is 100 feet, and from here to here is 100 feet, and then we repeat ourselves. Okay, and notice that we have a full set of stairs where these meet, right? Okay, I'm not worried about these intermediate stairs because these could be added later by doing some simple editing. Okay, and you can even scale your bleachers, the length of your bleacher. All right, but let's add another section, and that is simply done by, okay, we are going to select all. All right, well, first, I don't want to do that yet. I don't want to select all yet. I want to, first, we want to get another set of stairs. So let's come over here to our step template, turn this on, select our step template, and let's go into edit mode. And we're going to come all the way down here to this vertex right here. So let's turn on vertex. Okay, let's select all the vertex. Vertice, see how I do that? All right, select this twice to turn it white. So it's the active vertice. All right. And we're going to Shift D, make a copy of that, and then hit escape so we don't move it. And we want to add that down here, which is the second level. No, it's the first level. We want to add that right, keep forgetting. Yeah, it's this first level. We want to add that right here. So I'm going to hit G, and we're going to move that right there. Okay, so now we have a full set of stairs on this end. Okay, now since this is a copy of our template, we don't want to do that. So with those selected, I'm going to hit P and make that its own piece so I don't lose my template. Okay, step long. All right, and then hit tab. So my template is still all there unmolested. So we turn that off, and now we have a full set of stairs right here. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to come over to this set of bleachers again, tab in to edit mode, and we are going to zoom in to that first level, vertex, and with vertex selected, I'm going to click and click, just like that. Okay. Then we're going to get out of edit mode, and we're going to select everything right here. Okay, not this stair. Okay. And we are just going to simply come down here, and we are going to Shift D. We're going to snap that right here. Okay, yeah, that's right. That doesn't work. Okay. I'm going to Control Z this for a second. There. That way I don't have my copies. All right. Oh, I forgot how I do this. Strange, isn't it? Oh, I know. Okay. Yes, I want to select all, which they are. I'm going to shift D so I have copies of everything. Everything has a 001 at the end, right? Hit escape, and I'm going to hit Control J to join all those together. So that's now one, this whole thing is one object. All right. And then I'm going to go into edit mode, tab in, and I want to make sure, okay, I want to hit A to select all, and this is still my active vertice because it's still white. Now I want to come down here and I want to G right here. There. Now we have that second step. You guys see how I did that? When they were all individual, it didn't like my active vertice for the snap. It was not working correctly. So I just created this as one object, and now since it's one object, I can use that active vertice for the snap. Okay, and then we get out of edit mode, and then you can give this let's say this is section 1, this is section 2 of the bleachers. Then you can give that whole section a name or something like that. Okay, so now we have two sets with an intermediate stair in between. Okay, so that's one way that you can create that. And we have our steps, our levels, we have our seats, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Now, I'm going to undo all that because that's the way I am. I'm going to show you another way to make our life a little easier. I'm hitting a bunch of Control Z's so we get our copies back to the way they used to be. Okay, so this is my join, and then I'm going to undo this to get all those joined pieces, right? So I've selected everything. So if each one of these is 100 feet, another way to make this its own separate set, but keep all your individual pieces parts, okay, you can simply G X 100. That gets me halfway. All right, so I'm going to come back and I'm going to G X 200. Okay, yeah, that doesn't do that either. I did something. You can use the distance. All right, what am I? What am I off? I'm off 12 plus 6. Is that another 18? 1. Yeah, I think that's another 18. So let's try this one more time. I'm going to leave that right there and move GX another 18. There we go. Yeah, it was 200 plus 18 because of this cutout that I made. But they're all individual. They're still individual. Okay, so a couple ways. If you know you're done with everything and you want to put them together and then move them, you can. Or if you're not done with everything, if you think you're going to have some more edits, then you can do it by distance like this. Okay, so either way. All right, now I want them separate, and the reason I want them separate is because when I come back and do texturing, it's easier to work with their little individual pieces parts and say all the seats are this material, all the levels are this material. Okay, there might be different colors, such as our prototype at Summit Motor Speedway. Got green, yellow, red sections. We have some green over here. We have some seating with backs, seat backs, and all that kind of stuff. All right. So you're just going to have to play to find out what's the best. I like all my objects to be separated out as the material, based on material. Okay, and then before I put them into the sim, I'll join them together. All right, once the materials are assigned. That's just my workflow. You guys might have a different workflow. All right, and then, but doing it this way where I have all the pieces parts separate, then I can come through here and say bleacher seats, select all the bleacher seats and apply a material to them. Okay, if I had this all at one object, then I would have to individually select all the bleacher seats and then assign the material to them. Okay, so that's what I do, is I leave them separate until I have the materials, and then I'll join them together. All right, any questions on that? Nobody's raising their hand? All right, anyway, I'm such a geek. All right, so today we added a seat, talked about some transformation orientation kind of stuff, and then we made a copy of our bleacher. The next video, we are going to work on some handrails and some underneath structural framing. And I might even show you how to cut in a set of stairs, because if you notice in our prototype, okay, we have this section and we have this section, except I only came to about right here. All right, but there's another set of stairs that splits. Okay, now I could make my bleacher sets this size, make one full size, and make a couple that have this little notch out, but only from this distance to this distance. It's up to you. Okay, but since we have templates of our stairs and stuff, it's not that hard to cut out a piece and insert a stair. Okay, because they're one piece, it's easy to work with. Okay, so that's what we're going to do on the next video. We are going to play around, put some handrails on here, and work on the framing underneath. Hey, if you guys haven't subscribed, I really appreciate it. I'm just simply amazed on my over 2,000 subs now. It's pretty cool. You guys are awesome, very supportive. If you'd like to financially support me, just simply buymeacoffee.com/myphysicalworld. That'd be great, appreciated. Just kind of, well, you guys don't have to give money, but I thank you for all those that do financially support. I'm not here to make money. Anyway, you guys have a fantastic week, and I will see you on part 3 of our bleachers. We'll see you later.